Okay, we are going to start with our practice graphing. So the first thing we do when we're setting up a graph is we want to determine the scale that we need to fit our graph. Okay, so we're just going to start by counting the lines. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we've got 12 lines. I'm just going to write this in pencil so I remember how many lines I have. And then I'm going to count the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I have 12 going this way as well. So when we're doing our graphs, we want to make sure that our graph takes up our entire graph paper. If we have a tiny little graph down in the corner, it looks weird and it's not easily presentable or easy to see that information on it. Okay, and so the first thing is we want to be able to number our graph. So remember, on the x-axis, we have our independent variable. So the x goes left and right, and the y-axis has our dependent variable that goes up and down. Okay, so we said our x-axis was the type of candy, okay? So the type of candy is going to go along here, and then our dependent variable was the number of students, and that would be going up and down. So if I look at our chart, the largest number of students for any type of candy is 22. So we need to make these 12 lines be as close to 22 as possible. And so to do this, for me, I think the easiest thing would be each line would represent 2 students. So we can start labeling this as 2. The next one would be 4. We're going to count up by 0 or by 2s. Okay. We should always start with 0 at the bottom. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 20, and then I can erase my number of lines, 22. Now when you're labeling these, you are labeling the line, not the space. So make sure that your numbers line up with your lines. Okay, and so now we want to do the x-axis. Okay, this is our types of candy. We have 5 different types of candy and 12 lines. So if we take 12 divided by 5, we get roughly, we have just over 2, but 2 would be our whole number. So we're going to take every 2 spaces is going to be a different type of candy, okay? I'm just going to draw those lines out a little bit. So that first one is our Hershey's chocolate. The next 2 would be our Sour Patch Kids. The next one over would be our Twix. Then our Skittles. And then finally our Kit Kat. Okay, and so this takes up most of our graph paper. It's not always going to be a nice even number, and it's okay if there's just a little bit left. Now if we did 1 bar per candy bar, we would have over half of our graph left, and we don't want that. So we want it to be able to spread out through our graph as much as possible. Okay, so now that we've got our scale determined, we want to label the x-axis with our independent variable. So our independent variable was the type of candy. So we're going to write that nice and big at the bottom. This is a label, so it should be nice and big. Okay, so that's our x-axis. Our y-axis is our dependent variable, and we determined that that was the number of students. So nice and big up this side, we're going to label that. Okay, so your labels should be descriptive of what you're putting on each axis. So we've got our scale determined, we've got our axes labeled. The last thing we need to do before we're ready to start graphing is to get a graph title. So our graph needs a title. The title should be nice and big right up top. And you can just take it from like our chart. It should be descriptive of what you're graphing. Okay, so I'm just gonna write on the top, favorite types of candy. Okay, so now that we've got our graph all set up, we're ready to start graphing. Okay, when you do this, here's my ruler. You're gonna wanna use a straight edge so that it's very nice and neat and it's visually appealing. So the first one we're gonna graph, that's that Hershey's chocolate. It says 15 students, their favorite candy is Hershey's chocolate. So we are going to start graphing that. So we go up to our numbers. Here's 14, here's 16. We don't have a line in between there. So we know that 15 is between 14 and 16. So we're gonna try to draw a line halfway through this. Let's use our straight edge. So it looks nice halfway through. Okay, this is where our Hershey's chocolate is. We're gonna draw a line straight down using our straight edge. Okay, and then you can just shade in this whole section. Okay, the next is the Sour Patch Kids. So we were doing these two sections. Remember, this whole distance is for our Sour Patch Kids. 22 students liked Sour Patch Kids. So if we look at our scale, 22 is at the very top, that very top line. So we use our straight edge. Okay, so now this area we could shade it in. I recommend using a different color. I'm not going to for this video because I need to be able to erase. And so for you, if you've shaded this in with your regular pencil, use a different colored pencil. Okay, so then you can just shade in nice and neatly this whole section. Okay. Finally, the Twix. So in our chart up top, it says that 8 students preferred the Twix. So to graph this, we need to go up to number of students at 8. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Here's that line. We draw a line straight across and down. Okay, and then let's erase anything that's not nice and neat. So now you're gonna shade in this entire area with another color, okay? Then we do our Skittles. Our Skittles is at 11, okay? We don't have a number for 11, but we know that 11 is between 10 and 12. So that's gonna be, 11's gonna be halfway in between. So we go where our Skittles are, halfway in between, use our straight edge, draw our line across. This area right here will be the area that we shade in for our Skittles. Make sure you're using a straight edge so that these boxes are nice and neat. Okay, and then finally we have our Kit Kat. It says 14 students prefer Kit Kats. So we go up to our 14. This is where our Kit Kats start. So see how I didn't use my straight edge and it's not very neat? I'm gonna erase that. We need to use our straight edge up to where The number we're looking for is 14. Okay, and then this entire area we would shade in with a different color than the rest. On the slideshow, on the next slide, I'm going to complete this, not on the video because it'll take me too long, but I'm going to complete this and I will show you a picture of what your final graph should look like.